But I just think that for me to watch a big 6'6" man who basically recently graced the front cover of Men's Health magazine try to sell me a McDonald's meal. I mean, to be honest, I didn't even know they even had McDonald's in Croydon. I'm only joking. I'm sorry, Croydon. You guys are all right. But no, I just, it's if I was to critique the action outside of the political aspects of it, it would be, as I said before, where there is a lot of products or chemicals that are in McDonald's meals which are not necessarily conducive to community health. And I know for a fact that there is a large aspects of the Stormzy fan demographic that if their parents saw he was trying to sell McDonald's to them, they could get that shut down.
Right. So I want to put a pin in that because that leads on to the next point. But I just wanted to share some final thoughts and something that I was doing some digging into it today actually, and I found some research about the actual issue regarding McDonald's and their support of the IDF. So apparently it was one franchise that in Israel that was giving the IDF soldiers free food as a way to support them. Yeah.
Which is mad because McDonald's don't give away food to nobody. If you work at McDonald's and you give food to a homeless person, you're fired, you know?
Well, I mean, I'm not.
I know. Because I know people that have done time.
I was about to say, was you that 16-year-old?
I'll be honest with you. They don't want me there. They don't want me there. But I spent many a time with the McD's, and yeah, you're not allowed to give food to the homeless.
So imagine now, this apparently. So I'm just saying apparently because the research didn't really seem, or what I was reading didn't seem proper to me. But it might be the case. Someone in the comment section can correct me if I'm wrong. But apparently the way it works is this was one particular franchise, and the McDonald's Corp, which is based in America, after the backlash, basically disassociated themselves with that one and basically stated that it was just this one franchise, like a rogue franchise. And if you know how McDonald's work, they have franchises that are owned by different people and they can do pretty much what they would like with that franchise, in the sense that now what McDonald's done, and again, apparently they brought up all the franchises in Israel as a way not to get caught up in this kind of political discourse and further reputational damage. Yeah. So with that cherry on the top of that cake, it made me start to think of it a little bit different, because I thought, well, it's not that much tied to, if that's the case, if this is true, then it puts a different lens on it from Stormzy's point of view, because it's not you supporting Israel. What it is though, and two things I would say. One, this is why I feel like this is a point that I feel like we as a community need to stop pedestalizing our like rappers and celebrities from within our community if they don't deem fit. You get what I'm showing you? If someone's showing you who they are, believe them. And there's a lot of, and I know firsthand, there's a lot of rappers in particular that are compromised and not really dealing with the agenda of our community. They're not supporting our community, and they're doing things that contradict our improvement en masse. You get what I'm showing you? Yeah. And mentally killing our kids. Yeah. Very much compromised, and they don't care. They do it for the bag. Now, I'm not suggesting Storm. This is the case.
A lot of time, the bag ain't even that big. You think about it.
Get me? But I'm not, and I'm not suggesting that Stormzy is. This is what Stormzy is doing. No. What I'm saying is, and I said something to you earlier on, I feel like when it comes to who we put in position as a community, as someone we revere and say they're championing our cause, we need to hire slow and fire fast. Yeah. We take time to, because what it is like you always say, when we say it's the shit, then white corporations come in and monetize it based on our word, because we popularize it. We are the primary cultivators of our culture, but we're not the primary beneficiaries. Yep. Yeah, I'm showing you. Yeah. Going back to the idolizing of like talent and rappers and, you know, actors and superstars, celebrities within our culture, if they are, simply put, if they're doing shit that contradicts the improvement of our community, bin them. Because you know what happens, yeah? When these white corporates or white-owned corporates come and start to say, you know what, we can delve into the community through that person, we can turn the lights off and say, no, we're not listening to them no more. You get what I'm showing you? Yeah. If they're contradicting our improvement and not benefiting us as a community and just benefiting themselves. And they will show you who they are. You get what I mean? If someone shows you who they are, believe them. Now, I'm not saying that Stormzy is the case with Stormzy. We'll see. You get what I'm showing you? But if that's the case, then we need to bin them. Secondly, bro, why is it that, and you made a good point when we were talking about this earlier. You said, you know, there was other restaurants he could have supported, like, for instance, Wingstop, which is black-owned. And why is that not the case? Why is there not a meal deal in the context of Wingstop with Stormzy?
Yeah.
You get what I'm showing you? Like, something where we can involve, again, I'm going to use that word supply chain, because just because you have a food shop doesn't mean that's it. Food needs cooking. The food needs to be brought from different
places.
places.
Packaged. And you know, and you do realize that a lot of, for example, living in London, there's lots of like fried chicken establishments now, which again is us.
Yeah.
Fried chicken. Black people like fried chicken. Well, it's funny because a bunch of South Asians seem to be running these chicken shops, and a white girl seems to be doing all the dates in the chicken shop. But we're supposed to be obsessed with fried chicken. I digress. We'll come back to that. And also, we got you lot. But I'm saying it's interesting that black people are supposed to be the fried chicken obsessed. And yet, when there's a chicken shop date with a white girl as the host, everybody watches that. And then every time you go to a chicken shop, it's not black people that's working there, even though the entire cuisine and space is predicated on what people believe to be soul food. Because that's what the fried chicken shops are selling. It's soul food. Now, I say that because I think that there are a number of establishments, and like, you know, Britain's palate, America's palate has expanded so much. There was a time where McDonald's might have been all we knew in it. But now you're spoiled for choice in terms of, not only can you have a spoiled for choice for different establishments and fast food establishments, but it can be delivered to your door. So for me, I would be interested to see how lucrative the opportunity was with Stormzy, because I think Stormzy has historically had good communication with his fan base. And like you said, should be in a position whereby he can determine his price and move along depending on how these corporations are behaving. And he could be like, well, I don't. So it's an interesting move. And I guess also because of the fact that he had made the statement about solidarity with Palestine, the actions now are even more confusing. So even though you look at him different, I didn't ask Stormzy to make the statement about Palestine, but he decided to show his solidarity, which is very commendable. So this seems to be very contradictory behavior.
Well, again, I mean, with what I said about the franchise stuff, and you know what I mean, them being on, I don't know whether.
Well, a reason I'll bring up as well is because McDonald's, like a number of multinationals like Starbucks, are reporting a serious hit to or decline in their revenue that they have not had in years. And one of the reasons for that is because of the movement that was called BDS, which is boycott, divest, and sanction, which is a movement whereby multinationals that are aligned with oppressive regimes, like in the asymmetrical warfare in Gaza, for example, people in the Middle East have stopped going to places like Starbucks, and they stopped going to McDonald's in a show of solidarity for people like themselves who are being oppressed in Palestine, West Bank, etc.
Do you reckon we could do the same thing as the black?
This
community?
is where I was going with it.
Okay.
This is what I'm trying to say. Is that really it's not some stuff like that. It's the fact that McDonald's have resorted to using Stormzy's star power to alleviate their financial difficulty they've had. And really what it should be instead is that by recognizing the power that we have.
So what you're saying, hold on. Let me stop you there. So what you're saying is, because of the financial decline, so they're losing money.
Yep.
And because they're losing money, they see a star in Stormzy, and in associating themselves with him, their hope is to bridge the gap of the money they've been losing through pounds from the black community.
Yeah, because as we discussed in our previous points.
Yeah, I just wanted to.
But we understand. But it goes back to the fact that we are aware of our star power, and that by our ability to influence progressive movements within Western civilization, is something that people fear and are always trying their best to manipulate and weaponize. And I'm not sure how it went down, but I very much hope at the very least when they was like, Stormzy can help us, he was like, crawl on your fucking knees. So as far as I'm concerned, whatever this bag is, I hope it's a bag that he doesn't require having to align himself with anybody that might be morally objectionable again. But like I said, the fact that sales of these places decline, it shows us the power that can be had and that can be influenced. And really, this probably the outcome is not desirable where Stormzy is concerned, I would say. But this is still also the same man that for many years, and even now, there's many rappers that boast about their wealth. He's one of the only ones I know who's putting children through university and offering academic scholarships to young black children. So you know, as much as we can lament these current actions, who knows how he's going to use this revenue?
Well,
Maybe
yeah,
it might be too early to judge somebody who, for a large part of their career, has been a part of several progressive movements and has
yeah.
actively outspoken about providing opportunities and resources for his
I
community.
think that's key context. You know what I mean? The only thing I would say, you know, just to kind of my final point on this is, why can't we as a community have our own franchise,
Yeah,
food franchise I'm talking,
yeah,
yeah? Or like, you know, similar to McDonald's or whatever, in the sense of, I mean, Krypton Conan had Krypton Cones,
mm-hmm.
it didn't work.
Because stop putting dairy in it, bro. We can't have ice cream. I love it too, guys. I love it. I want you to understand. You think I don't like ice cream? I really enjoy it. I once stood behind a Chinese woman in Haagen-Dazs for like half an hour while she sampled every single type of ice cream. And by the way, they didn't throw her out. And if it was me, by ice cream scoop 3, they would have told me to choose or fucking leave. But I digress. The point is this. We can't have a dairy-based business model, my people. It is bad on all sides. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news.
So moving on with that, I'm saying it didn't work. Krypton Cones didn't work for whatever reason,
Yeah.
and I don't feel like I don't want to focus on the fact that it didn't work. What I want to focus on is that Mandem tried, innit?
Yeah.
And in that regard, instead of having what was essentially one small business 100% owned by Krypton Conan or, you know, some close associates, now with Saveways where they own what 20%, I don't know the exact percentages, but essentially they've strategically partnered up
Yeah.
with people that can provide other parts of the services within other parts of the supply chain to make Saveways work.
Yeah.
Simply put, if you start a food chain or a food shop as a celebrity, you can then just take 10%, 5%, 6%, 20%, whatever it is, to fulfill your obligation in your way, yeah, and strategically partner up with other people because if anything we can do as a community, we can cook, and our food bangs. You get what I'm showing you?
Yeah.
So why do we not have our own franchise where Stormzy can then go and align with that? Now I'm gonna keep banging this drum,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna keep saying this. Do we give a shit? Because I have a particular issue with when our women get licked down in these establishments.
Mm-hmm.
It's a constant thing that I see in my head, and that enrages me. And I don't want to promote violence, but them sort of things will make man do different things.
Mm-hmm.
I say that to say this: when you think of all those things that have happened, why are we not making movements to do we give a shit? Do we care as a community? Do we care that we are being discriminated so massively in these spaces? So
I mean, let's move it away from that. Nando's would have had a much harder time taking foothold in the UK without the endorsement of ourselves.
See it there? And that wasn't even a celebrity or star or anything. That was just word of mouth.
Well, we say that, but also their black card was given to people of the particular culture in order to promote it amongst younger people.
But that he started
way before that. Yeah, absolutely.
Way before that. Because their chicken had seasoning in it that we liked. You know what I mean? And if you understand where
well, word of mouth, like you said, then we were able to disseminate that message very well.
You got I'm showing you.
That is the level of power. And you know, I even remember doing the case study of like I think it was Pizza Hut, because Pizza Hut was the Nando's of its time. I remember in like the 80s.
Yeah.
People, you have to have knife and fork to eat in Pizza Hut.
See it there.
Domino's came along and had home delivery, and that was their USP.
Yeah.
And Pizza Hut had to step up, and now Pizza Hut has to share their market position with Domino's, Papa John's, upper scale. You got Ferreza and Franco Manca and all the rest of it, and McDonald's is doing the same. But they've got the resources to tap into this. But like you said, it's are we using our power
correctly
to manipulate these people correctly and not let these multinationals take advantage of us?
When it comes to our food, I am particularly disgusted at the way in which we don't really have a foothold or any ownership into our food culture, but only to the extent of like, and this is not a disrespect, but you know, our cultural food shops that we see on high streets and so forth and so on, it's not enough. You get what I'm showing you? Because we're not showing up there are black food franchises that sell black food very badly.
Turtle Bay, I said it. Should I say it? I'm saying it again. And Kettle Bay, it's great cocktails, but yeah,
I'm gonna
some of
bleep that one out, Jack.
yeah, yeah,
I don't want to give them
You should,
no,
yeah.
no promotion,
Yeah,
Dread.
please do, yeah.
No
Bleep it out, but
promotion. You
yeah.
get me? That's getting.
We all know who I mean.
You get me? Nah, and that for me is like the biggest example of how we don't control our own food and how that is marketed. Like, it's madness, bro. Thankfully we have people moving into these corporate spaces. They're learning the skills to be able to market products and services like you do from that food shop you just mentioned.
Yeah, yeah. And there's also a lot of amazing chefs that are actually involved in the process of elevating our cuisine and making sure that we are effectively represented as parts of Hawk cuisine. Because I had the pleasure of going to the Good Front Room at the Langham Hotel, which was a menu that was curated by
bringing, you know.
Dominic Taylor.
You see how he just said I had the pleasure of, like, that was like it was
Listen,
nice.
Yeah, I have to. You got to, bro.
Yeah,
You have to give it the bougie in it because it was
yeah.
the bougie food of our culture.
Mm.
Dominic Taylor, who is an amazing chef who appeared on 5-Star Kitchen on Channel 4, and he basically won the show and worked alongside I think it's what's his name, Mark Rue Jr. But the guy, but yeah, basically. Yeah, Rue Jr. something. But yeah, he basically had the Good Front Room at the Langham, and yeah, it was amazing. Amazing. And I'm interested to see what he's doing next. There's another chef, Natty Can Cook, who has the has a concession at a pub in Peckham called the Greyhound.
Yes.
And again, he makes all like Caribbean dishes, and some of the best food, particularly fish, I've had from the culture ever. And Natty is an amazing chef who is, turned his life around, did time, came out, and has changed his life for the better.
About that.
Yeah, amazing. So it's
big up to them, man.
Yeah, big them up. Let's keep and we have to just keep sharing ideas and resources. But I think
see, that's what I'm saying. Like, we've got Mandem that need to invest, creatively invest into people that can do it. We need people that can to join forces with people that have commercial properties, and all it takes is one example. You get what I mean? You don't have to have 100% ownership of anything. You just team up with someone who's gonna bankroll it, someone who can cook, someone who's got the commercial property, someone who can source the food from wholesales and has a good relationship on the wholesale side. That takes away a lot of you just focus on your job.
I mean, to be honest with you, one of the advantages that we have with our cuisine is that we don't necessarily have to go to what would be considered the most expensive and supplier, because one of the key selling points of our food, I think, is that we can take black people can go Lidl and flip that into like a Hawk cuisine meal. Yeah. Because of our, extensive use of seasoning and herbs, different other accoutrements, but basically seasoning and marinades. Your food can go toe to toe with any Michelin star chef.
Yes, I hear that. But salt tastes good in it, so I would hazard and say we need to.
Salt does taste good.
We need to be
but
careful.
You have to have less of it, just like ice cream. I'm sorry, everybody, to tell you.
Trust me.
You have to allow the macaroni and cheese, or take a pill, please, guys. Lobster mac and cheese. You can't do them things no more, man.
It's madness, bro. Just trust me. Listen, people are getting ill early.
I know it sounds horrible from me, but what's worse is when they say it's gone too bad, we have to amputate. So you have to be easy, people. I love you all. Cut back on the dairy, please.
Trust me. But getting back onto my point, once you have that sort of a formation of like people that own their roles and jobs and stuff like that, then we can use the power of social media, which we don't have the power of, like our social clout across social media. You know what I mean? To advertise such services that are provided by us, and we can be the primary beneficiary of services and products that we can cultivate. What say you on the social media side?
I think that it's one of the most important moves that we will have to make as a community in order for us to survive the coming years mentally, physically, and socially. Is that our lack of control on social media and our lack of autonomy over our own narratives has been one of the most damaging things that have impacted Black culture. In just a short space of 5 years, we've gone from having explicit conversations of people understanding how virulent and how damaging systematic racism has been. We've gone from that in around 2020 and having open conversations about police brutality and inequality to today, where DEI initiatives are being shut down everywhere. Google no longer has Black History Month in their calendars. Pride Month has also been removed from Google calendars. There's been the reprimanding of any positive initiatives for Black scholars, and those have been, and all these ideas of repealing all of the progressive success that's been made as far back as the 60s and Civil Rights Act are being repealed everywhere. And one of the reasons why these things are gaining solidarity is all of the misinformation and demonization that's been able to take place on social media. A large amount of that has also led to an enormous explosion of true race baiting, where Black progressives are accused of race baiting by referencing explicit racism and institutional racism. You now have some grifters from the community who show solidarity with white people as political whores in order to make money. Kemi's one of them. Candice Owens would have been tarred with the same brush when she was at the Daily Wire until she had a crisis of conscience over the conflict and changed her tune. But, you know, there are a number of Black grifters, and I don't know all their names, but there are a lot of Black people who have seen that there is a lot of money to be earned from digital coonery, and that has been used in order to make these individuals have success, but has led to the incubation of racial and prejudice ideas towards Black people. And yeah,
And
that's still all of the progress been made in the last 5 years.
And I want to say this, yeah. One thing that we are good at as Black people is staying woke. Now, I'm not talking about the latter meaning of the word woke.
As it was distorted.
It was completely hijacked and
it's gone the same way as bling, innit?
Turned into completely something different. The former meaning of the word or term staying woke was all about education of the Black man and being aware of how we are being discriminated against and the systems that we could or creating systems that we can put together to kind of free ourselves from it, you know what I mean, and circumvent the fuckery that we go through. And I use that word very heavily, not lightly.
Yeah.
Point being is, what we are good at and have been very good at is staying woke and critical thinking. So I'm going to ask you guys to, again, stay aware, because if you see somebody on social media that you've previously lauded as a leader within our space and they do some fuckery, then it's time to bin them. And we need to start getting back to that space where we're critically thinking. And I don't know about taking back the word staying woke, because they've hijacked it and smashed it up with so many and conflated it with so many different things.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's even worth us trying to, you get me? But if you understand the previous meaning of being woke.
Wagwan is in danger as well, by the way.
Oh, nah, Wagwan can't be in danger, bro.
I get that, but there's a drink called Wagwan now, which is like a tonic. And I'm not sure if we necessarily own that. So yeah, you got to stay sharp out here, my Black people. Stay conscious out here.
Yeah, exactly. So when you see you're doing your daily stuff, I know TikTok is massively powerful, especially for the younger members of our community. When you're seeing stupidness, stay aware and stay vigilant. You know what I mean? And if someone says anything to contradict their position as a thought leader within our community,
or compromise your own position for monetary gain, or put you in any danger, or your family in any danger, or cause long-term damage to your family, then you don't need that, because you are now spoiled for choice in terms of the broadness of the landscape. We have much broader landscape where you have the opportunity to find anybody that you're drawn to who shares the same beliefs and values as you.
And speaking of social media, bro, did you see Drake's wireless announcement?
I did. You know what? I did see it. I did see Drizzy's announcement.
Tasty,
he's
bro.
had a busy week.
Tasty, bro. Tasty.
He's had a busy week. Because he also dropped this new album, some sexy songs with the joint album with Party Next Door. So that was this week.
Oh, so that's
on Valentine's Day.
This is a perfect way to market this album, then.
A rollout, yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's part of the. Nah, I've not heard it yet. No, I don't pay much attention to Drake, to be honest with you. I'm not.
I'm finding it hard. No, let me be honest, because I don't want to act like I'm conformist. Basically, I saw Drake in concert at the O2, I think back in 2018. And
we was at the same concert.
Yeah,
carry on.
I left early. But for me, I'm not going to just completely shit on the whole Drake brand, but I think for me, Drake had a song called "Straight to My Face," which I was like, this song is remedial, and I'm not any person who wrote this song could not be taken seriously as a rapper.
Well, the 10 shadow.
Well, yeah, the ghostwriters, all
yeah,
of
the
you,
ghostwriters,
you lot. But then
ducked
I
him.
think that for me, the culture vulture thing for Drake has rung true for a very long time prior to the beef with Kendrick. I will be honest, I am always going to be cynical, and it could be my generation, it could be my age. I am always cynical of artists who uh, find themselves rapport building with other black creatives, aligning themselves with street culture, using AAVN or even Black British vernacular, and yet never volunteer on any of the issues that or plights that these communities deal with. Drake is talking about stuff for his dogs and his N words, but I've never heard Drake make a song that alludes to or even basically critiques police brutality,
Right. So just to give the context,
for example.
Drake's been announced as to, well, I'll give the full context. After losing the lyrical war in such a public manner with Kendrick Lamar, Drake has been given the task of curating 2025's Wireless Festival, and it features Party Next Door and Summer Walker on the Friday night, Burna Boy and Vibes Cartel on the Sunday night, but I've kind of saved the best till last. Saturday night is Drake and the Mandem. So this is a festival in London, and Drake is saying, yeah, it's me and the Mandem, and this is what's been put out on social media.
Various guests.
Me, Drake and the Mandem.
And the Mandem, you know.
Who's the Mandem? Drake. Car, you're not from the UK.
Right.
You get me? And the UK Mandem are putting enough work
that they should be in a position to
they should be able to, their name should be on the flyer. Just like a Vibes Cartel or a Burna Boy or
I mean, Burna Boy, I'd say a large amount of Burna Boy's clout came from the fact that he collaborated with black British artists and spent a lot of his formative years over here.
Listen, yeah. In fact, I don't want to glaze over that. Yeah. My man,
other than being big as Niger Pop, but Burna Boy is a British brand as well. You know, I have to say,
you can Google him speaking in a full-on London accent, bro.
He's like friends with like Zaha and them and there as well.
I mean, I don't know his like friendship circle like that, but I'll say this: my man's spent significant amount of time in London,
like Naira Marley as well, who brought up here. By the way, big up these man as well because I think Burna Boy amazing, amazing world musician.
Yeah, massive. Nah, definitely. But the point being is, Mandem that reside in the UK should not be referred to as Mandem on a flyer where you have other people like Vibes, you know, like Party Next Door,
World Boss and that.
You get like
respect.
And what you're just saying that it's Mandem, completely distasteful. Drake, not good,
and Drake's handlers, and festival organizers.
You get what I'm showing you. But you know what's interesting, and this I got a couple of speculations on this because a few months ago, Drake was suing his record company, and now he's not, and now he's curating one of the biggest festivals as regards to youth culture in the space of hip hop in the UK.
It's the biggest festival. Absolutely.
So and he's got his name all over it. Sounds like a campaign rollout to me. Sounds like, I don't know. I'm only speculating on that point.
Following the release of an album on Valentine's Day, and almost beginning to move away to a subgenre of hip hop and being more focused on R&B, given how his hip hop battles have turned out, and then Wireless, where he's performing in a country whereby I guarantee that where Drake had been vilified and revealed as a culture vulture in the States, people in the UK were a lot more receptive to him and were being a lot more receptive to his disses towards Kendrick. And, you know, a lot of the Mandem, because I guess that's the name you lot are going by now.
Imagine, you man are Mandem.
Imagine. A lot of you Mandems.
You know what? I want to see who actually gets it, like who actually gets it. Yeah, who are the Mandem?
Who are the Mandem?
Because the day that...
I would have thought the Ghostwriters were Mandem.
Brother, listen what I'm saying to imagine the first UK artist that goes on that flyer. It's a madness, bro.
Mandem.
You know that's another podcast episode.
I'm telling you.
You get what I'm showing you?
And it brings me back to Stormzy when he did his Skengman freestyle, and he was referred to as a backup dancer by another rapper, and he said, "How the hell can I be a backup dancer?" And now Drake is like, "I'm gonna need a bag of backup dancers and rappers, please."
Come on, Mandem.
Yeah,
Come hither.
all the Mandem. Yeah, come on, Mandem. They're like, "Why are you talking like that?" Because we're in London, baby.
See it there?
Mandem is deep. I mean, Index. Would you speculate on who you'd have appeared? Because Drake has had interactions with very different aspects of British culture, and I am not. And it's been largely beneficial to him. It's been beneficial to a lot of the artists. I guess you can't argue that.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if he's always continued that relationship in earnest. In that, like, he's been alongside Heady One when Heady One was doing his thing and then freestyles. He's even worked technically with Funky House and with our Crazy Cousins. And
let's just face it, right? Not for them man in the US come to the UK and parts of Europe and collaborate with the biggest artists at the time, and then go back to America. So they do it. They go to UK, they go to France, they go to Belgium, and they pick the biggest black artists in that space and they collaborate with them, do a little thing, big furore. It gives the local artists some shine, and they get extra amplified motion. You get what I mean? I just wonder if this is an effort to mitigate against the reputational damage that Drake has faced after this lyrical battle.
Everything that Drake does now will be to minimize reputational damage, I think.
Right.
But I'm not sure if every move is necessarily that well thought out, because it's
a bit scattergun.
Yeah, because I mean, Mandem. I'm just trying to think of a roster of people that have collaborated with Drake. Like, would that be like Section Boys or Smoke Boys, Preps and Conan, Jay Huss?
You know what? Yeah, I just hope that, because I hope that man like Skepta and Dave, those are the ones that come to mind now, because I like the way they position themselves in the marketplace.
Yeah.
I think the way they position themselves in the marketplace is really, really smart. And big up to the teams behind both Dave and Skepta. Skepta seems like a more independent-minded person that just decides, this is how I'm moving, and everyone moves with him. Whereas Dave, I know there's a little bit more of a curated effort, but nonetheless, there's people behind him that I feel like are doing a good job. And I don't feel
he had no releases last year, and he was still doing numbers on.
Listen,
so
big, you get me. So in my opinion, I wouldn't like to see their reputation marred by being included in or under the umbrella of Mandem, because I feel like they, in particular, and there's a lot more but them ones in particular, because those are the ones.
I think they've legitimized Drake as much as it's worked the other way around.
Yeah, and I agree. But I specifically focus on them because those, I think, are Drake's go-to. I think those are the ones that he would just go and say, yeah, boom, Mandem, rare. And, if your brethren just phones you and says, yeah, I'm curating wireless, are you on it? Yeah, I'm on it, bruv. Not saying nothing.
Yeah.
You're not even thinking about flyer and how you're going to be marketed or rare, whatever.
They should know who they are before the flyer even comes out, because it definitely is a part, I think.
But that's...
The Mandem is...
Amongst, and I use the term Mandem. Amongst me and you, if I phone you and say, Dane, yo, I'm curating a comedy show, I'm a just come comedian. You know me for what I do, but you know what I mean? I work in media, in the media industry, but I'm gonna do this comedy thing, and I've got a little bit of clout and rare tear. I'm creating this thing. I want you're on it, and you're not gonna say to me, so how's the flyer gonna look? Are you putting my name in bold?
If you're a big name, yeah,
you get me?
Yeah, of course.
You're gonna just.
I'll be like, what's the fee for that? But then I'll also the fee. Yeah, I got a bit little clown, blah blah blah. Cool. What's the fee for that? Because Drake is not coming cheap.
Yeah,
and prior to this battle, would have been one of the, I would imagine, one of the most expensive acts to book for any kind of festival around. And so I'll be interested to see what the split is, and if that much has been invested, why it centers around Drake's name. So,
but this is why I think it's all to do with the reputational damage. And I was looking into it because we had a conversation about this, and I was looking into the relationship between Wireless Festival and his record label, and I couldn't find anything that was like official. But there was like a loose tie, so I'll leave that there, and whatever it is. But essentially, I find it funny that in less than 3 months ago, my man was suing his record label, and now he's hosting this fest. It just seems very...
It's convenient.
But you know what? I also have a couple of speculations on this. So Kendrick Kendrick, did you know Kendrick's tour, European tour, is also in July?
No.
Right. So Kendrick performs in Birmingham on the 10th of July, a day before Wireless Festival kicks off. So that Friday the 11th is when Wireless Festival kicks off. Kendrick isn't performing again until the 13th, like in the UK, or anywhere actually. He's not performing anywhere again until the 13th, which is the Sunday in which Burna Boy and Vybz Kartel will be joining Drake. And Kendrick will be in the Netherlands at this time. Then he's back, I think a day after or so. But what if, so speculation number one, what if Kendrick was to be so disrespectful and get right in front of this and do something so disrespectful in his Birmingham show and make it hard to legitimize Drake's kind of thing in his show? Whatever he does, you know what I mean? I don't know what, because you know Kendrick is quite petty, and he finds these little, the symbolism and the way that he kind of interweaves these subtle messages
Like,
into.
look at Drake in McDonald's not ordering the Stormzy meal.
you know,
he went to Burger King. Can you believe that? Can you believe that?
And that would be whatever it is he does.
Yeah.
But like, if I'm Kendrick, I'm thinking we're gonna be in the UK at the same time. I'm looking to. I know I punctured your tires, but I'm looking to rip them things off in the. You get me?
Leave them on bricks.
Trust me, bro.
Yeah.
You get me? But speculation number two, he's also not performing anywhere on the night that it's the Mandem show. So how funny would it be? How would it be if Kendrick just turns up on stage and it's like this unification thing? And
I mean, it would be very funny, and UMG would be like that in the money counter. Beep. So much summer peas.
Can you imagine, bro?
Yeah. I mean, you know, there's a lot going on, and while we're in the midst of enjoying this speculation, let's not forget that there's active club out there still training and recruiting. Yeah, but you know, let's not lose sight of that, because you know all this celebration of World Boss and Burna Boy, who basically is the king of Niger pop. Like, let's not all these like these pedestalizing of our black idols. Let's not lose sight of like some of the things that are still affecting our community, and don't take these little crumbs and stuff as well.
Yeah,
of having Kendrick over here, because you, like I said, their record label stands to be the primary benefactors of all of this stuff that's going on.
Right.
So, you know, it's
either way, because if Kendrick does do a madness and do something disrespectful, that's headlines. That turns into sales. That's our culture. You get what I'm showing you? And as much as there be, you know, kind of byproduct sales for members of our community, we're not the primary beneficiaries of that. So whether Kendrick does do something disrespectful or turn up on stage, and you heard that speculation here first, because I don't hear anyone making that maybe a tenuous link, but it's a link all the same. And if he does turn up, I should have put a bet on. I know I lose that one anyway, but it is what it is.
I can't see Kendrick and Drake squashing it for a while. I still think it's relatively fresh, and I don't know, and also depending on Kendrick's personality, I'm not sure if it might even ever happen, because Kendrick might be like Pusha T and be like, nah, I'm good, never. Who, ironically, Pusha T wrote the jingle for McDonald's. I'm loving it.
Yes, yeah,
wrote that,
yeah.
And also wrote one for Arby's.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Anyway, moving on swiftly, quick, because we've not got long. I just want to cover quickly Kanye's response to Leo Cohen after Kanye spent $8 million, I think it was $8 million on a Super Bowl halftime advertisement, pointing people towards his website, to which he took down all the other products and had one product selling, which was a T-shirt with a black swastika on it.
Oh God! Whoa.
Can we do this can you summarize this in 4 minutes, bro?
Yeah, well, essentially, Leo Cohen expressed a lot of disappointment at Kanye West for selling the T-shirt with a swastika on it. Kanye's immediate response to that was that Leo Cohen has profited from the exploitation and violence and brutality towards black people for many, many years, and that he doesn't see why there's this double standard whereby black racial slurs and epithets and derogatory language and pejorative terms for black people fly freely throughout the hip-hop space within the music, and all it serves to do is to financially empower people like Leo Cohen and to glorify criminality within our communities. But why people try to censor his freedom of speech, he does not understand. So again, this broken clock Broken clock syndrome. There is a sense in the nonsense. I do not agree with Kanye West's recent rollout. I don't believe in his previous rollout because I bought a t-shirt from Yeezy.com. It had the 9 on it and it was like a poncho when Kanye was going through his fat phase. And I bought a t-shirt from him and it was not a t-shirt. It was just fabric that had been stitched together with holes in it. Remember he said on the t-shirt for like because it was nothing was more than $20.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that. And that was terrible, Kanye. Just go to the gym or take a Ozempic, whichever you're doing. Good for you. Anyway, these t-shirts. Now, again, we do not endorse any hatred towards the Jewish community on this show, but let's not act like Nazi memorabilia has not been freely available on the internet and on eBay for time. Swastikas t-shirts are not the first rollout of Nazi apparel that is available, because there are gay men that dress up like Nazis as a part of their fetish and a part of gay orgies. I won't go into too much detail because we both know you're not here for that. And I doubt if you're at this podcast, you're here for that either. But my point is this, that again, this idea that we are trying to make Kanye West the figurehead for anti-Semitism and anti-Jewish sentiment and for the resurgence of Nazism is fake. There have been plenty of white Anglo-Saxon Protestants and white South Africans and white people around Europe and the world that have used subversive language like cultural Marxism to demonize the Jewish community or enforce race mixing to demonize the Jewish community. Nazi memorabilia has continued to sell in earnest for high amounts across platforms such as eBay and Etsy, you name it. Not only that, I appeared in a TV show with Jimmy Carr called Jimmy Carr Destroys Art, and Hitler's paintings still endure to this day. I had the pleasure of destroying one of Hitler's pieces of art. I enjoyed it. I would do it again. I would pee on the ashes. But to act as if it is this one black man from Chicago who is the supreme figurehead for Nazism in the West is disingenuous. And not only that, it actually downplays the severe mortal danger that the Jewish community might face if Nazis and Nazism iconography continues to be empowered within public forums. But at the end of the day, the broken clock that Kanye has become raised a very valid point that Leo Cohen and a number of other
Jewish
executives and Zionists within the space of music have been able to profit very handsomely from black trauma. Let's be honest. There is a interview with Leo Cohen on the Breakfast Club where they asked him what position he takes on somebody who makes art which could be derogatory to a community, and he said it's talent over everything else. And when he was questioned on what this damage can cause to the community, his reply was, I've got people to feed too. So again, as insane and as horrible as some of Kanye's statements are, well, if we're saying that you're damaging the community, let us know the difference.
Yeah, what's the difference?
What is the difference?
What's the difference? So basically, what Leo Cohen is saying, I would destroy any community if it means I feed my people.
Yeah.
And he's feeding them 100, 1,000-fold. This geezer's not short of money, so he can stop now. He's fine, but yet he still profits from the black trauma and black killings, black murder, and all of these things that are perpetuated through the music.
Leo Cohen has had the pleasure of living off the earnings of Jay-Z, DMX, LL Cool J, Run DMC, Vince Staples, anybody, Ja Rule, Ashanti, anybody who has been affiliated with Island Def Jam, Murder Inc., Rockefeller, anyone that's been under that umbrella, Leo Cohen has been able to enjoy the benefits of that and has not been affected by the socio-economic implications of some of the music and the culture.
So when he then criticizes Kanye for selling a t-shirt with a swastika, it's juxtaposed by the fact that, and what Kanye is actually saying is, what's the difference in my trauma versus yours? You as a Jewish man don't like to see me profiting or potentially profiting from the sales of something that hurt your community, yet you can do it to
and openly do it and actively encourage people to use derogatory terms towards our community and make a tidy profit from doing so at the mortal expense of our community.
Right.
So if there's somebody that can say something, it's not you, Leo.
See it there. So I mean,
What
while
Kanye said.
I don't completely agree with Kanye, again, I pick the sense from nonsense and I see his sentiment, and I hazardly agree with his sentiment. Not something I would do myself, but I kind of hear what he's saying. I see what he's saying.
It's not the first time the questions come up.
Mm.
And that's the bottom line, is that Kanye is not the first black creative who has questioned the people who exist outside the community and culture, profiting from the trauma aesthetics and the trauma porn of this culture. He's not the first person to question it.
And we had a tidy conversation. I don't know how I want to tackle that one yet, but I feel like that one needs disseminating bit by bit. So you know the guy I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But with that said, we have run out of time, so I'm gonna end it there. There are a couple of other topics to be said. Actually, you know what? I want to just cover this one quickly because we do have a few minutes. Hannibal Mejbri is the Manchester United player unknown to Burnley, who was racially abused just weekend gone by Preston North End's player Mulatin Asamagic. I don't know how to pronounce that, but essentially, yes. And this guy is obviously Eastern European by the spelling of his name. Correct me if I'm wrong, people in the comments, but it just shows you that racism in football is still alive and well. And while we have sections of our community saying that we shouldn't do anything about it, like, I don't think we should not. In 2 minutes, is there anything you want to say?
I do. Let that be a lesson to you, that for those of you who do have football dreams, that being on 60 bags a week is not going to protect you from dealing with the same social issues that somebody that barely makes 6 bags a month, if they are lucky as hell, going through. Number one. Number two, I will just say very quickly that, again, the overrepresentation of black athletes within the space of professional football is something that shouldn't be underestimated. We definitely applaud it, but in the same way that you've seen the statement made by the Active Club in terms of a fraternal organization that observes solidarity and are unapologetically white, those of you who are black football players should be, and I'm sure that you are, is happening in various spaces, but there should be full galvanization and protection of one another and observe fraternity, whereby anybody who insults one of you insults all of you. And again, the more you can weaponize your power, the more people will have to pay attention and to concede to your demands, your human demands and civil demands as football players and taxpayers and human beings and members of the society. Don't fucking have it, bro. Kick a man in his face, innit?
See it there? I could not have put it more beautifully myself. That's poetry from Dane. So with that, we'll close. Dane, anything going on or you want to allude to?
Yeah, just please do continue to support the show and check out more content, comedy clips on my socials, and look out for more gigs. We're taking the game international, so in the next coming weeks and months, I will be visiting different spots all over the world, because that's how I do. So if you are people watching from a different country and want me to come over and talk the things with a little piece of laughter, let us know in the comments, and I will make my way over there.
And to connect with MYB, or connect with the podcast, My New Business Podcast, is MYB_pod UK on all platforms. Come and check us out, man. Yeah? And we'll catch you next time.
Absolutely. Index, big up yourself, brother.
Blessings again.
Peace.
Yeah, man.